What's up, everybody? It's Izzy, and in this video I want to talk about strength fluctuation. So what am I talking about here? Basically what I'm talking about is the fact that your performance on any given day is not entirely static or predictable. What I mean is that it's going to fluctuate within a certain range. Most of the time that range is only going to be a few percentage points. Right? It's not going to be a wide, huge gap. It's just going to be like, let's say whatever your top set is, there's a range of maybe, 5 to 20 kilos for your top set. However, there are days where your strength can fluctuate pretty significantly, like 5% in either direction. And I think I've even had, maybe a few days throughout my entire training career where I was maybe 10% weaker than my best effort, or even 10% weaker than the last time I went to the gym. And here's the thing. A lot of newer lifters, so, beginners, novices, and newer intermediate lifters do not understand that fluctuations in strength are usually out of your control, or they're just transient. And what I mean by that is that they come and go. They're due to factors that are not permanent. And no, you're not getting weaker, and you do not need to hit some sort of a panic button and redo your entire program. So I really struggled with this when I first started lifting. I would, and the big reason for this was, of course, the type of programming that I was doing. You would have to it was like a max effort day, right? Conjugate. So you'd have a max effort day, and you're basically, expected on those days to go to RPE 10. And when I wasn't able to match what I had done previously, it kind of made me think, oh, the program is not working and things of that nature. So here's what you have to understand. Especially if you're doing a program that is more RPE based, or it's high volume with mostly sub-maximal training where you're not even supposed to be fully recovered on every single training day, that this is normal and it's part of the process. You're not getting weaker, okay? So I think a lot of this mentality stems from what people do when they're novices, and that's, pretty much everybody out there recommends something like a linear a linear progression, some type of linear periodization, and when you're a beginner, you get stronger so predictably and reliably that you're able to do, 5 pounds more every time. And even though sometimes it feels easier than others, so even novices have those fluctuations, for the most part, you're able to progress consistently every single time. When you are an advanced lifter, this is no longer the case at all. It's no longer even remotely true. You're going to be performing most of your workouts under significant fatigue, depending on how your program is set up. So it's not only normal, but it is predictable that you're not going to be able to match your PRs throughout the entire training cycle. That's totally normal. And again, the reason why I'm bringing this up is a lot of people don't seem to understand this concept. So your ability to perform on any given day is generally called your level of readiness. And in a theoretical world, you could calculate your readiness by taking your underlying level of fatigue or your underlying level of fitness and subtracting your current level of fatigue. And so basically the difference between your level of fitness and your fatigue is your readiness, and that's how good you're going to be able to perform on any given day. Now, there's a lot of things that can add to stress, which will show as fatigue. So if you got into, let's just, use funny examples. Like if you got into, we got a new puppy and he shit all over the place and you had to clean it up, that might, right before you went to the gym and you're all pumped up, you already drank your pre-workout and you had to clean it all up and it ruined your mood. That could potentially be, an outside stressor that brings down your performance that day. More realistically, if you have serious life events going on, like financial trouble, stress at work, the breakup, things that happen in real life, these types of events can cause massive fluctuations in strength in the short term. Okay, you can have a day where you're 10% weaker than you were before. I remember one time when I was living in Las Vegas, it was some sort of a holiday or something, and I didn't realize that my gym was closed. So I drove around all of Las Vegas seeing what gyms were open for 2 or 3 hours, super stressed out because I had a meet in 3 weeks and I was supposed to do one of my most important training sessions that day. And of course, the stress of driving around for 2 or 3 hours, not being able to find a single open gym, by the time I finally found one, I could barely get through my warm-ups, they were so heavy. The next time I went to squat, I set a PR. So what I'm getting at here is that a lot of the times you don't need to panic over transient fluctuations in your performance, because they're just that. They're transient. They will come and go. You cannot lose a significant amount of strength and muscle overnight, or in 1 week, or in 3 weeks. It's just not possible unless you're doing something really extreme, like you just quit, you got sick and you quit training and you ate 100 calories a day. Okay, yeah, in that case, you can potentially lose a lot of muscle and strength really quickly. But in normal circumstances where you're eating your normal diet for the most part, you're doing your normal training for the most part, and then you just have a quote-unquote bad day at the gym, you're not getting weaker. It's just the fact that your readiness is not where it's normally at for that day. And this can happen due to poor sleep. It could happen due to 1 or 2 days of really bad nutrition. It could happen because you took drugs or got super drunk the previous day. All of these things can cause transient fluctuations in your readiness. And while it sucks to have a bad workout, it's really not the end of the world. More often than not, you can try to figure out why it happened, and sometimes you can do that. A lot of times you can figure out why it happened, and then you just make a note of it and you move on. Because in the long run, this is something that you're going to have to deal with as an advanced lifter who is walking kind of that fine line of doing a ton of volume and getting a ton of fatigue so that you can still make progress. Because once you're advanced, it takes more and more and more to keep making gains. And it's pretty easy when to push over the line of too much here and there, or it's just going to happen from time to time where you accumulate fatigue faster than you improve your performance. And in the short term, any time that you increase or that you accumulate fatigue faster than your fitness improves, this will show up as a decrease in performance on your next workout. And again, this increase in fatigue could be because your program is inappropriate and you're just doing too much work too soon in the training block. It could be a expected part of the program where you're in a high fatigue week, you're in a high fatigue block, and you're expected to be accumulating fatigue. That's another option. It could be because you ate 1,000 calories for the last 3 days and got not enough protein. That can cause a transient drop in readiness as well. Maybe you got 2 hours of sleep because your baby, your newborn baby kept crying in the middle of the night all night. Okay, that's going to cause a transient drop in readiness too. So what I'm getting at here is you're not getting weaker just because you had one bad workout. There's no reason to panic. And in the long run, this is something that you need to accept and learn from. Like I said, try to figure out why it happened, and more often than not, you'll be able to figure out why it happened. You make a note of it, and you just move on. One bad week, and I can't say this enough, does not mean that, or one bad workout, one bad week, it does not mean that you've lost strength or that you're getting weaker. It's just a transient fluctuation in performance that is a normal part of strength training. And that's all I wanted to say, guys. Strength fluctuates. It's normal. Expect it. Anyways, have a good day and good luck with your training. Peace.